You might not agree with everything that I'm going to say in this video, but that's okay. There's a section of altcoins in the market that I think are going to massively pump. In fact, I believe these altcoins are going to be some of the strongest performers over the next few months. So in today's video, I'm going to explain what these altcoins are, what my thesis is, and it will become clear why you might not agree, because the price action currently does not look good for many of these alts. But I think things can turn around quite quickly, and today I'm going to explain why and how you can play it. If you do enjoy content like this, make sure to click that notification bell to stay up to date with the latest alpha in the crypto market, where I help you succeed every single day to become the best possible crypto trader and investor that you can be. Starting off here, let's just take a look at the current state of the market, because the narrative I want to discuss today hasn't just come out of nowhere. It's a narrative that is brewing due to the current market conditions. Bitcoin is currently in a downtrend. You can see here it's been making a series of lower highs as well as a series of lower lows. We're currently flirting with a major support / resistance level, the 60K level, which is marked by a horizontal range low, as you can see here, as well as the 200 daily moving average, the exponential moving average to be exact. The more times that Bitcoin flirts with this level, so breaks through to the upside or breaks down to the downside, the less significant 60K becomes. What's more important for Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the general trend. So from a higher time frame point of view, we are in a downtrend, but of course, the first level that you would need to break from a bullish continuation perspective on Bitcoin is 62K, because that would be the first higher high of this current series of lower highs. That is what the Bitcoin charts are showing us right now. I've got a more expansive update later in the video where I'll talk about what I think happens over the next few months. There is a pattern currently repeating, which I discussed in yesterday's show. Go watch that if you haven't already, whereby the price action that Bitcoin is currently exhibiting is really, really similar to that of summer 2023. It's almost the exact same fractal. If that is the case, there's going to be continued apathy in this market before a potential breakout. And that is the pretense that I'm currently trading off, and it's where this strategy and the altcoins that I'll talk about today fit in. Before we get into this strategy, I want to let you know that I just released my latest vlog. It's the second vlog on my lifestyle channel, Deutscher Vlogs, where I basically take you through a week in the life in Dubai. I stayed in a crazy hotel called the Atlantis in Dubai. It's probably the best hotel that I've ever stayed in. If you guys want to win some USDT, for anyone that is subscribed to that channel and comments where you are from in the latest video, which I'll link in the description below, it's this one here, I'll be giving away $1,000 to 10 people. So we ran the same giveaway last time. I want to let you know that if I did select you as a winner, all those giveaways have now officially been paid, so I recommend checking your wallet. But if you want a chance at winning this giveaway, I'm going to be selecting 10 people that comment on the video, and we'll be giving away $1,000 to 10 people. You've got to make sure you're subscribed to that channel though. So for those that want to see a little more into my life, that video is out there. But we didn't come here to talk about my life. We came here to talk about the crypto alpha that is at hand today. And the first thing we have to do to understand the alpha from today's video is look at where we've been as a market. Specifically today, I want to cover the newer launches in the market. So the coins that have launched since January 2024. In front of you, you can see all of the new launches that launched on Binance so far this year, like AI, Zai, Manta, Dupe, Pith, Ronin, Dimension, Pixel, Starknet, Portal. You get the point. Many, many more. Binance is the biggest crypto exchange. It also has the largest retail user base in crypto, besides obviously big consumer apps like Robinhood, which don't have the same amount of listings. But as a native crypto exchange, Binance is the biggest. Hence, looking at returns on Binance is going to paint a pretty full picture when it comes to looking at the health of the crypto market. And the picture that it's painting lies right here in the performance since listing. Most of these coins are down significantly since launch at the start of the year. Some 30, 40%, some as bad as 90+%. Many of the major listings here as well are down tremendously. STRKnet, 80%. Portal, 88%. Wormhole, 83%. ZK Sync, 46%. IONET, 62%. Many of these coins are down massively. Apart from a few outliers, Jupiter being one of them, WIF being one of them, but that wasn't a Binance Labs project. You can see on the right here, most of the Binance Labs projects are down significantly as well. And I like this tweet from Based16Z. He said, Binance is going to need to start incubating their own coins and listing them at a low FDV, or their users are going to keep dying. And a really interesting point here is to consider the damage that it does to the crypto industry, where you have a lot of these new projects launching and then retail that buys in on the exchanges are instantly underwater and continue to be underwater for the rest of the year. Those users are going to be disheartened, and they're not going to come back to crypto, at least until market conditions significantly shift, right? So I think some of the apathy in the market can be explained by the fact that some of these major exchanges, specifically Binance, the one I'm talking about here, have had a series of really poor listings, which means that a lot of the retail that bought in and got into the launch pools, they're significantly down. And a lot of those users have essentially been rinsed out of the market. And then you have this other contingent of the market, which is the meme coin casino, where you're seeing 157,000 meme coins launching during the Elon Trump spaces. So you have extractionary measures on the altcoin side through exchanges. These are the classic VC coins, right? And then you have extractionary measures to extract liquidity on the meme coin side. It's no wonder a lot of people are calling this cycle effed. You can see Arthur here saying, I don't see how meme coin further can go on at this pace of extraction. Eventually you run out of fish, like what happened to online poker decades ago. When online poker first rose to prominence and you saw all of those new poker websites launching, you had all of this retail coming in and getting excited by the idea to make money online. And in the early days, it was really easy, right? Because you were playing against small fish. So you didn't need a particularly high skill level in order to extract money out of that online poker economy. But what happened is, as the space matured, as people became more switched on, learned the ropes, and whales realized that they could come in and extract, so really good poker players could come in and take money and rake it off these newer, more noobish users, you saw a scenario where the numbers started to significantly dwindle because the rate of extraction was higher than the rate of the interest for new people to come in. And if they came in, they would just get burnt straight away, or they would lose money. And what's the incentive to stay in a game where you're just losing money? Eventually, you're going to leave. This is all important context, and I like that analogy because it kind of summarizes where we sit right now and why the market is largely feeling apathetic. And you've got to ask the question of exchanges. It isn't just Binance, but I think there needs to be a little bit of a reset, and nature is healing. So I think what's happened this year may reset things, right? But there does need to be a reset in our thinking behind the valuations coins are launching at. You're seeing many of these coins launch at a 5, 10, 15 bill valuation. That's the reason why they're down 90%, because they simply can't command nor hold a significant valuation over an extended period of time. Once unlocks start hitting the market, there simply isn't enough demand on the buy side in order to prop up that price, that market cap. And then you also have the fact that the number of tokens being released, it's not just the market caps, is at an all-time high. Not only through the meme coins, but through the VC coins. When market conditions turn for the positive, a lot more people, in this case, project founders, VCs, etc., started thinking it would be a good idea to launch tokens so they could make hay while the sun shines. And that's exactly what they did, but at the cost of who? Retail, who buy into these launches and lose money and subsequently end up leaving the market. So as a result, many retail participants have written off a lot of these coins, which are down significantly since launch. But something interesting has happened over the last few days regarding a select few of these coins. And that is basically the fact that some of these VC coins, as they're deemed, and really that's just a saying that stems from the fact that these are higher FDV launches, typically because they have significant investment at a higher valuation from VCs. These coins have started to move, a few of them, and it may be signaling a larger trend in the market, but I don't want you to jump to conclusions just yet. Keep watching this video because at the end, I'm going to go through my personal strategy when it comes to a lot of these coins, and I'll use some specific altcoin examples to contextualize that. Over the past few days, we've seen SUI move massively. This is a trend that I picked up on last Friday. I went through my trading plan with you guys, how I was buying SUI on the breakout here, then again on confirmation above this level, and then on the break of the 200 MA. So far, since the breakout and I released that video, we've pumped 20%, and even at one point, we're up 34%. So I want to say well done to anyone that got into the SUI trade. It's been one of the better trades over the last few weeks. And I know a lot of my members in the Discord community, like as you can see here, profited nicely off that trade because I did keep the Mars High Club members updated with that trade as it started to develop. That's one of the benefits, of course, of being in the Mars High Club. You get some one-on-one help when it comes to trading execution, because I can make a show about a breakout, which is great. I can give you a good entry, but then there's obviously the execution of managing that, getting your confirmation buys, managing to take profits, setting in validation, all that sort of stuff we talk about extensively in the Trading Talk channel in my Discord here, where as you can see, I give people updates. Gave an update on some meme coins this morning, gave an update on SUI again this morning, gave an update on OM, Mantra, some constantly Pendle, RWA coins, so I'm constantly replying to you guys and answering questions there. And if you are interested in being part of the Mars High Club, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can be a part of that community as well if you're serious about making money in crypto. But it wasn't just SUI. Out of these VC coins that started to pump, SUI was a slightly older one as well because it launched in 2023. Some of the newer launches from 2024 also had massive squeezes to the upside. You see SAGA here, repricing from $1.20 to $1.70. Layer 0 at one point had gone from $2.50 all the way up to $5.50 before it eventually retraced a lot of the move. You can see TIA, Dimension also led the pack on this bounce. So there's definitely been a bit of a trend for a lot of these coins to pump. Now, before I get into my alpha, the question is, why? The thing is, because a lot of these coins have been so beaten down, because they've been so smashed continuously in the market, and many of them are down 80, 90%, at a certain point for many of them, there just isn't any more room to move downwards. A lot of your sellers that wanted to dump are out of the market. Yes, sometimes there is more supply that comes onto the market, but once those really steep initial supply curves hit, if you've got some sort of cliff for a period of a few months or a year, I know SUI had that cliff for another month, for example, it could sometimes give you some headroom to pump because the narrative is so beaten down that the smallest catalyst can cause price to really aggressively move. So my first takeaway is that these coins, when they pump, they're actually some of the most aggressive pumps in the market. And I think VC coins, and we'll talk about my strategy in a second exactly, are going to be some of the most aggressive pumpers in the market, just as they were some of the aggressive dumpers in the market. And point number 2 that I've observed here is the fact that CT is significantly underexposed to, and CT is crypto Twitter, of course, or crypto X, VC coins versus meme coins, for example. For some reason, and I mean, the reason's kind of clear, right? The market gravitates towards coins that are performing price-wise. It totally makes sense. And then price leads narrative, and then that creates mind share, price going up, and then it's like a flywheel, right? So people aren't going to talk about coins that are going down. But it is interesting that the coins people are talking about and thus are exposed to in these circles are primarily things like memes, which have been really hot. And I'm a proponent of playing relative strength, by the way, as you guys know if you've watched my shows. But I also believe this is the reason why some of these coins pump so aggressively when they do run, because people are underexposed to them. They're not exposed to them at all, because why would they be? I mean, by now, even if you're holding it, you would have capitulated, right? Because you don't want to draw down 70, 80, 90% of your holdings. But this also means it can be a setup for so-called hated rallies, where price aggressively reprices higher. And that's going to be part of the strategy that we'll get into and the reasoning behind making this video. Based has a good tweet here. They say, probably so many opportunities right now to be grinding hard, but not on new pump fund launches, PvP'd hard, and dwindling dollars. Meanwhile, there's a big universe of alts, mid-caps, with zero eyes on them, and distressed pricing. And it's this point here, distressed pricing, when something's being really beaten down, yet has fundamentals backing it. There are some coins on this list which I think are primed for big expansion, and some that aren't on Binance but maybe got Bybit or OKX. So let's get into the strategy here now that you kind of understand the dynamics of the market. Now, this strategy relies on my Bitcoin thesis. What is my Bitcoin thesis? My theory generally is that history rhymes. It doesn't exactly repeat, but we are eerily following a very similar fractal to what we were following during the same time period of 2023 of expansion. You can see 2024 above and 2023 below. Sideways bleed price action, expansion, sideways bleed price action, a big dip. And what I actually didn't add in this tweet was a pump that followed that capitulation wick. So that's now a 6-pronged move, which is copied pretty much exactly this year versus 2023, minus the fact that you had a little bit of a bounce here where price went sideways in late July. But essentially, it's a similar chart. And if this playbook is playing out, past data suggests that patterns like this typically end up settling down in an accumulation range. We got that accumulation range from August until November. If we are getting a similar accumulation range now, and those are the signs that we're getting in the market, that means an apathetic market over the next potentially few weeks to months, whereby market participants aren't that interested in crypto. Prices maintain stability, but what happens is people start time capitulating, especially towards the end of this sideways period. People capitulate because they can't simply bear being in the market anymore. They're impatient, right? So they just capitulate their holdings, or the buy pressure dries up because they don't have the conviction to keep adding to something that's been going sideways. And due to the fact that there's low volume, you also see illiquid periods, which are prime setups for shakeouts, like liquidation events. Maybe not as harsh as we got the other day, but mini shakeouts that scare participants out of their positions. Now, I've spoken about on the channel yesterday, but also in my Discord, the fact that I believe these mini shakeouts are great opportunities to accumulate quality altcoins. You can see here my strategy. You can pause the video and actually read it. This is my full strategy, by the way, on the hypothetical scenario that I didn't own a single dollar of crypto, but I wanted to get exposed over the next few months. I think some of you will find it valuable. But in this strategy, I talk about the fact that over this period of potentially a couple of months, I want to DCA a percentage of my portfolio, 20% in this example, into coins with strong narratives and that have exhibited decent relative strength for at least some point this year. Now, that is where the majority of money is going in terms of my DCAs. Does that mean VC coins that are extremely beaten down? No, because a lot of them don't have a strong narrative and a lot of them haven't maintained decent relative strength. However, there is a small percentage of my portfolio which I am going to allocate to specific altcoins that are extremely beaten down and have setups that I think are conducive for what we've seen on SUI and SAGA this week of massive repricing to the upside after a massive shakeout. This is split up into two types of coins. Coins that have already launched and have had their supply dumped onto the market over the last year and prices been extremely beaten down. And two, new coins that haven't launched yet, but due to the underperformance of VC coins so far this cycle, launch at extremely low valuations that have a vesting period of a year, which is pretty standard in the industry, which would mean there's a nice setup for a hated rally. Let me go into more depth in terms of these two strategies. This is a great tweet from Owen. He says, look for altcoins in their first cycle, down 80 to 90% since their Binance listing. If Binance invested, that's a bonus. You can see here on the spreadsheet, if you want to pause the video, all the ones that did get a Binance listing. So there's AI, there's Manta, there's Ronin, AXL, Avo, ENA. This is one of my top picks out of this list, by the way. REZ, BB, Zero. There is more also launching. And more that didn't get a Binance Labs investment, but also launched on Binance. Obviously, it's a bonus, but it's not necessarily a major prerequisite here. Crypto Twitter is about mid-curving VC coins and focusing on FDV. But when the bull market hits in the next few months or earlier next year, this roughly aligns with the thesis here that I just showed you, that will no longer matter. Every cycle is pretty much the same, yet CT still manages to overcomplicate the obvious stuff because they are over-emotional beings lacking patience and conviction. I don't think this cycle is exactly the same in the sense that there is definitely a premium on asset selection this cycle. So I say here, keep in mind the most important thing when it comes to executing an accumulation strategy isn't just timing, it's asset selection. This cycle is different as it requires shrewd decision making when it comes to the specific assets you choose to hold and trade due to the dispersion that we're seeing across the altcoin sector and the lack of new liquidity to offset this. I do think Bitcoin breaking highs will mitigate this issue somewhat, and that's the point that you can see Owen make, but the pump still won't be as universally strong across the entire market. So I think certain altcoins will perform better than others, and it won't be like last cycle where everything just went up all at once. Everything might go up, but everything won't outperform Bitcoin like we saw last cycle where pretty much all the majors outperformed Bitcoin. But the thing I agree with from this tweet is looking at coins that are significantly down, that their major unlocks have already hit the market and have fundamentals backing them or decent tech backing them. Because believe it or not, there are good products with good tech that just launch way too high that at a better price could become a better investment. There's this famous quote, I'm going to misquote now, but the essence remains the same, from Howard Marks, famous investor, where he says, there's no such thing as a bad asset. There's only such thing as a bad price. So even the best assets can be a bad buy at the wrong price if they're priced too high. And even the worst assets can be a good buy if they're priced low enough to become a good investment. So that is an interesting thing to take away. Like ZK Sync probably has more tech than some of these other tiny layer 2s that are launching. But if ZK Sync launches at 20 bill, it's just because its tech's better doesn't make it a good investment than a project that launches at 10 mil, but it's just, might have crap tech, but it just launches so low, it's easier for it to pump, right? So let's go back into the two types of coins that I'm investing in. So number one, of course, are the coins, as I mentioned, that have already been out for the year and have significant unlocks already behind them. SAGA is an example of this that actually ended up breaking out of its trend. So when it comes to executing trades on these coins, once you select the ones that you like, and there are a few that I like, I can give you a few now, but obviously this will be subjective. A coin like STRKnet at a lower enough valuation makes sense. You can keep scrolling down like ENA, Wormhole. I haven't looked at the exact valuations, but these are the types of coins, right, that I think make sense. SAGA, as you saw, just pumped, just started to move. ZK, so ZK Sync is another one. There are a few of these, and they aren't just on Binance. There's also Bybit OKX coins. These kind of coins, you can try and execute the strategy that I was talking about. So on shakeouts, you can start adding some, as long as they don't have significant unlocks. So make sure to corroborate that with crypto rank to look at the unlock schedule. If they don't have major unlocks, and unlocks in a bull market can kind of be a bit of a myth. So if we do go into bullish conditions, it doesn't necessarily matter. But what I'm talking about is you don't want crazy unlocks of like 50%. For example, if an altcoin has a 50% unlock in 2 weeks, that's probably something to avoid. But as long as the unlocks are proportionately small, and even better if they have a cliff like a lot of the new launches do, that is typically a good setup. And you can employ step number 2 here of my plan, which is DCAing on shakeouts. However, there's another strategy, and this can be equally as profitable, and that's just waiting for a confirmed reversal. So you can see here, once SAGA started to break out of this pattern, it started to gain momentum at $1.10 and ran up really quickly to $1.60. Now this might keep running. I don't know exactly, but these are the types of setups you'll be looking for. Not now. Remember, Bitcoin has probably some sideways price action to do, but at some point, these are going to end up looking like really good entries. And of course, you could build a position over time. You can see here, Victor points out the FDVs of the new VC coins of this cycle. You've got things like ZK, ZRO, which is layer 0, Wormhole, ENA, SAY, Dupe, Pith. Fundamentally, you can make a case for all of these at a low enough valuation, like let's say the 1 bill FDV range. You do start to get that upside again for a 5 to 10 bill FDV protocol. SUI at 10 bill is quite high. Interesting point here that Victor makes as to whether SUI can become a shelling point as the next best soul killer, or whether it will just be a mean reversion play, which means coming back down into this range. So keep your eye on that. STRKnet as well, which had significant investment, is now valued less than Arbitrum and Optimism, which is interesting. They probably have a stronger user base, although STRKnet has invested more in their tech and probably arguably has better tech. So that is the first type of coin. The second type of coin might be the best. And these are the new launches that may launch weaker than the market expects because of the fact that the market doesn't trust, due to the performance that we spoke about before, a lot of these newer VC coins. So if you see an INITIA, a Monad, a BERACHAIN, Movement Labs, HYPERLIQUID, these are all some of the strongest new launches. Carve, who are building the largest modular data layer for gaming AI. Zero Gravity, who are building the fastest modular AI chain. These are all great projects with great backers. If you see these projects significantly undervalued on launch, and it's just as simple as going to CryptoRank and looking up where the VCs invested at what price, if you're noticing that the price on the open market is lower than what the VCs are paying, this can sometimes create opportunity. So if these do launch in a weak market for newer launches, that could be opportunity, because what I think is that some of these newer VC coins are going to be some of the strongest pumpers in the market, just due to the fact that they launch lower than anticipated. And when the market starts to pick up, that means they have a greater repricing higher, because their price has almost been suppressed by the lack of narrative. But as you guys know, I talked about this yesterday, narrative doesn't lead price, price leads narrative. So if the price for some of these VC coins starts to pick up, that's also going to start to reflect across the entirety of the utility coin sector, because that's really what we're talking about here. The VC coin is kind of like a funny terminology, but really we're just talking about utility coins. Obviously, you need VCs in order to financially bootstrap development of products and ecosystems, which makes complete sense. So some of these coins could actually end up being good buys. Obviously, I'll keep you updated once they launch, many of which are coming over the next few months, over the next 2 quarters at least, but hopefully lining up with my theory on Bitcoin and the general market cooling and then heating up into Q4. Some of these do launch over the coming months, so we can actually play out trades following the strategy I was just talking about. But I'm watching these, I'm watching Carve, watching Zero Gravity. There are a couple more, but those are the main ones. And then in terms of the liquid alts, I think this list here on the right does a pretty good job at summing it up. These are new launches that a lot of them launch really high, like in the $10 billion plus range. So they've already suppressed back to 2 bill, like Wormhole, ZK Sync. I think StarkNet launched at 20 to 30 bill, and now it's at 3.9. So that really is a lesson in altcoin dilution and how devastating it can be on price action. But this could also create opportunity for a repricing higher when the time's right. So as the thumbnail of the video suggests, not everyone will agree with VC coins, and keep in mind, I'm doing this with a smaller percentage of my portfolio. The vast majority of my strategy is looking at strength and strength in narrative. But there is a portion that I will be allocating to utility coins that I think are extremely undervalued and trying to play those reprices and subsequently trading them as those breakouts start to present. And a lot of that I'll be sharing in the Mars High Club. Of course, I'll be making videos on this YouTube channel as well. But for more quick trading updates where I can give you my updated entries, exits, TA, etc., that will be in the Mars High Club. And there's a link in the description below if you want to join that. Remember, there's also a link in the description below to my vlog. If you want to comment where you're from, you'll get the opportunity to win a share of the $1,000 prize that we're giving out to 10 people. I'll see you in the next video. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out.